My wife was not Catholic. She was Episcopalian. Monsignor Hebert, you know, s- she started going and listening to him, and she fell in love with him, and again we became part of more of a community. So we had more of a personal connection to the church as we had not had in the past, and so that kind of helped us get back on track. I would say as a family with young kids and going to Christ the King and going to mass, all school mass and things like that. And then she wanted to convert, and then as they always say, through conversion, she knew more about the Catholic faith than I did. I've been a cradle Catholic, and she'd come home and start telling me all these things that I should know and I didn't know. So it was fun.
All right, Joe Kleine.
Hey, man.
Thank you for being here.
It's good to be here. Good to be anywhere these days.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. Well, you're a man with multiple irons in the fire. So if you could kind of summarize, how would you describe yourself at this season in your life?
Well, it's slowing down a little bit. Got 6 grandkids, so probably not slowing down, but it's a little more fun doing stuff with them.
Excellent.
Being with my kids, and then now their kids, and just enjoying their family, watching their journey. Obviously been with Corky's Ribs and Barbecue for 30 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Didn't see that one coming. And but been able to take on some new partners, so still very active in it, but the day-to-day of running a restaurant, which is, as many people know, is never ending. That's been loosened and lightened a little bit.
All right.
That's been really good. So I've had a little free time to again spend as much time with my grandkids as I can, and try to get to where I can consistently break 100 in golf, which is not happening.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Wow. Yeah. And the grandkid thing, I'm sure that brings you a lot of fulfillment in ways that you never imagined. So,
you always heard, my mom, everybody's, when you're going through the journey, wait till you have grandkids. You don't, it's the best thing ever. It's, I loved you guys as kids, but grandkids are better. And you're just kind of, but it's true. I mean, it's so awesome. I just think, with age, you're smarter. You know to appreciate things more. You don't take things for granted. You don't get uptight. If they don't eat their broccoli, they're not gonna die. They're gonna be all right. And so it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. So tell me then about your family, since we're on the subject.
Yeah, wife of Dana. We're coming up on our 40th.
Oh, congrats.
In August. We've been together 44 years, pretty much, almost. And she keeps all things together.
She keeps it between the ditches.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And just really grateful to have her. What a blessing that is. And then Daniel, my oldest, has 4 kids of his own with Morgan. Courtney, my oldest daughter, has 2 grandkids with Mark Lambert. And then Mallory is in California, and she's not married yet. And Will just got back from Arizona and starting his journey out of college, and he's not married yet as well.
Oh, wow. So how did you and Dana meet?
Yeah, I had a great friend. Well, a guy I played with, Scott Hastings, when I came to Arkansas. I transferred from Notre Dame, which is good for Catholic radio for everybody to hear that.
That's right.
How did you leave Notre Dame? But I left Notre Dame and came to Arkansas, and Scott Hastings was my roommate, a very excellent player for the Razorbacks, many people know, and his girlfriend was good friends with a girl named Carla Hilburn in the Chi Omega house, and I became good friends with her. And after about a year being at Arkansas, I looked at Carla one day and I said, "You got to help a brother out, man. I'm not having any luck on my own. I need some help." And she at the time was rooming with Dana. Dana was her roommate in the Chi Omega house, and we went out on a blind date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, so this is probably a little bit different of an interview than you've done before, because I'd like to highlight, the faith aspect and everything. So,
Absolutely.
And share that with our listeners. So, start at the beginning. Where were you born and raised and all that good stuff?
Well, I was born in Colorado Springs, where my mom grew up. My mom and dad met at St. Benedictine in Atchison, Kansas. My dad was a World War II Marine, fought in Saipan, Purple Heart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he just really went through the horror of that, and came out on the other side and went to college. Met my mom. My mom was from Colorado Springs, and dad was from Slater, Missouri, and they met there and got married, and then we moved to Colorado. They started off in Colorado Springs, and then we kind of moved around. I don't remember it very much because I was young, but we moved to Slater when I started first grade. Slater,
Okay.
Missouri, small town in the middle of Missouri. Right, you go up 65, and it's like I said, you hang a right on 65 at Conway and go about 350 miles and make a right, and 10 miles down the road, you're there.
Okay.
So you got to make two rights.
Long way away, but easy to get there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And so grew up there, and then just in a small town, USA. Dad and mom were very devout Catholics, so altar boy at the St. Joseph's Catholic Church there. We lived a block away from it, so we would, they used to do the 5 minute before bell. They would, they'd ring the bell, and that's when we'd walk out the front door and walk to church and sit there and just, grew up, in that environment in a small town playing sports. You get on your bike in the morning in the summertime, and, you'd be told to, be home at 6.
Yep.
and you were off to the races, and, don't get in trouble and be home at 6. And so,
the life of a Gen Xer.
Yeah, it was an awesome way to grow up. I would give anything, if my kids and grandkids could grow up like that, because, there was a lot of freedom. But there wasn't a lot of freedom because you were in a small town. So if you did something, you couldn't get away with anything because everybody knew everybody.
That's right. Wow.
But it was a great way to grow up.
So, other than altar serving and going to mass, did you remember, prayers at meal times and stuff like that as a kid?
Oh yeah, we used to say the rosary a lot early in the morning. And I remember sitting in my chair at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're saying Hail Mary, and my dad would. And we'd all, everybody perk up, and and we would pray the St. Francis prayer. I think we had it above our dining room table. We would say that prayer a lot, and we're very made aware of the importance all the time. And, when you're growing up, you're like, you know, we're saying the rosary before we can open Christmas presents. I mean, are you kidding me? You're like looking at your parents like we're kneeling in front of the tree and we're all looking at our presents, saying the Hail Mary. There wasn't a lot of grab there with the prayer. It was, but looking back on it, just wonderful memories.
Yes.
When you're, again, young and going through it, you don't appreciate it, but looking back, just so grateful that I had parents that made that important.
Yeah, and that structure and everything. Yeah, I remember. I wasn't raised Catholic, but yeah, we had to sing Christmas carols before we could open a single present.
Like, what are we doing? Couldn't we do this the night before? Or something?
Can we speed up the tempo a little bit? Yeah. Wow. All right. So, at what point do you remember maybe taking the faith kind of seriously or kind of ownership of it, or was there like a influence or anybody in your life that
I with much regret, I think I took, like, my faith grasped me when I transferred to Arkansas.
Okay.
Because I grew up, it was around me in high school. When you're in home, you're protected. I don't think protected's the right word, but it's there. It's
Mhm.
part of the culture of your home. And you go to Notre Dame. I used to laugh if you missed Sunday Mass at Notre Dame, you were an atheist because it was all day long. And I mean, they had a 10:30 Sunday night Mass.
Wow.
And they'd have them every dorm had a chapel, and so it was. Like, if you missed it, you really wanted to miss it. And so it was. But when I got to Arkansas, the Catholic faith wasn't as prevalent as I'd been around all my life.
Right.
And so you kind of start getting challenged a little bit, and people are asking you, "Are you saved?"
Mhm.
and things like that. And I'm kind of, what does that mean? I mean,
Yeah.
what do you mean saved?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, do you accept Jesus Christ as your savior? And I'm like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what is that? Yeah. So I mean, you start getting challenged a little bit, and so you kind of dive in. Your defenses come up. Not you're not in an argumentative way, but sometimes you felt like you had to defend
Mhm.
what you believed in, and I'd never had to do that before, ever.
Right.
And so it makes you try to, you don't want to just start talking about stuff you don't. So maybe started researching some things and
Mhm.
studying a little more so that I could sound somewhat educated on the Catholic faith as when I spoke about it. And
Right.
so that really helped me. When I got into, one of my regrets is probably early on in my life, in the NBA, probably fell off a little bit, moving
Mhm.
all the time, different towns. So you never got into a parish,
All right. Okay.
and which is no excuse. I mean, but and then kids come along and you're traveling and NBA, and my wife was not Catholic; she was Episcopalian, and so, and not that she wanted to go to church. She embraced the Catholic faith, but she didn't convert until we moved back here in 2000.
Oh, well.
And
Okay.
Monsignor Hebert, you know, s- she started going and listening to him, and she fell in love with him, and again we became part of more of a community.
Right.
So we were becoming friends with other people in the parish and Monsignor Hebert, and so you get we had more of a personal connection to the church as we had not had in the past, and so uh, that kind of helped us, get back on track. I would say, as a family with young kids, and going to Christ the King and going to mass, all school mass, and things like that. And then she wanted to convert, and then, as they always say, she through conversion, she knew more about the Catholic faith than I did. She'd come home and start, like, I've been a cradle Catholic, and she'd come home and start telling me all these things that that I should know and I didn't know. So it was fun.
All right. So you were at Notre Dame 1 year.
1 year. Yep.
So how did your move to Arkansas? How did that come about?
I love Notre Dame. Oh, absolutely. I would always say, on a cold winter night when I was walking back from the basketball arena to my dorm and it's snowing and it's 5 degrees, you look up and the snow's falling, you see the Golden Dome, if you don't get it, man, you don't get it.
Yeah.
If that doesn't resonate, then
Mm,
and so I loved it. It just the basketball just didn't work.
mm,
I wasn't happy. I needed more structure. I think from a basketball standpoint, uh, they did things differently at Notre Dame. Coach Phelps was a great and very successful coach, but it just didn't work for me, and so I had to make a really really hard decision.
yeah.
You know, do I want to max out my basketball ability, which I did not think I would do at Notre Dame, and or do I want to stay at this Catholic, awesome, great university,
Hmm.
which I love? And so, thankfully, basketball won out
Wow. Yeah.
because even you find out you don't have to be at Notre Dame to be a good Catholic, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I loved it there, and still, I've taken my kids up there and walk the campus with my wife and stuff, and she's like looking at me and go, how in the heck did you ever leave this place?
Yeah.
My kids look at me and it's just like, but again, it's God. God laughs when you tell him your plans.
That's right. Well, and that's where you met her and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
at Arkansas.
Yeah, I look at my kids and I go, well, if I would have stayed, you wouldn't be here, bud.
That's right.
So I'd be glad I left.
So what year was that then when you came to Arkansas?
81.
81. All right. So you were there 3 years before you
I
went.
was there 4 years.
4 years.
You had to back then.
Oh, okay.
The portal back then was you had to sit out a year. And so I sat out 1 year and then I played 3 years.
Oh, okay.
I was in college for 5 years.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, very good. So you met your wife around that time, and then, what? Not to force it out of you. It sounded like you didn't really, you did get challenged, I guess, about your faith there. But did you find a parish there at all
Yeah, we went to
on campus?
the Newman Center. They just
Okay.
redid it. We were able to help. What
Is it Thomas Aquinas?
St. Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah.
It slipped my mind, but
Mine too, almost.
they were, they were we were involved with helping them do we were involved a small part. A lot of people stepped up to help build a new parish for them, and yeah, I mean,
You mean back then?
no,
Oh,
now-
recently.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because when they came to us with that, we would go up there for football games with their
Mm.
kids and everything, and so Sunday morning we would, before Daniel got married and everything, we would go to St. Thomas Aquinas, and we would always laugh that it's exactly how it was in 1981.
Wow.
And so, like when they said can you help be a small part of fundraising and things like that, we knew how badly it was needed.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and to see what's up there now, it's breathtaking. It's absolutely beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, I hope to get to see it someday. The photos I've seen look
Oh,
amazing. I went to college up there and graduated, but I wasn't Catholic at the time, so I never set foot in that church or any
Yeah.
of their. I was just never.
well, you hate to say this
Yeah.
about any church, but back then you weren't missing a whole lot.
Yeah.
It was pretty. It was
Yeah.
pretty rough.
But yeah, it looks like they've done a tremendous job. That's awesome that you got to be involved in helping to make that happen.
Well, and they, if you get a chance, man, you need to just pop in there because it's the church itself, what they've done with it is just breathtaking to
Wow.
me. I think they hit a home run with
Yeah.
how they did that.
Maybe I can make a Sunday mass up there.
Yeah.
Some
You would
someday.
you would love it.
Excellent. So, is there anything else you want to tell us about the U of A before we start getting into NBA stuff?
It was it's what you tell your kids when they're up there. It's the best time of your life, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. You're gonna you're gonna sweat over having a test on Monday in economics, and you're gonna be worried and all that. And then when you get out in the real world, you're gonna be like, what why did I sweat that so bad?
Yeah.
I mean, when I've got other things,
That's right.
real world stuff I'm dealing with, but it just, I was fortunate to meet Dana up there. We got to start our journey at the U of A, so it's a very, 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 very special place to us.
That's great. So then you got drafted in 1984, 85.
Yeah. The first year, the NBA lottery, the year Patrick Ewing was picked.
But you were like number 6 or something?
Number 6. Yeah, I was the 6th pick.
Excellent.
In the NBA. And this, it's like, hey, you're going to Sacramento. I was like, oh, great, California. You're thinking beach and Sacramento. It's like when I got there, a guy that I played with, Reggie Theus, who's from California, from Los Angeles. He's like, Joe, he was like, yeah, Sacramento's not California. And it was great for me because it was a farming community in the valley, the capital city in the valley. And it was, at that time, it's as everything, it's tripled in size now, but it was a very quaint, beautiful little city from NBA standards. I mean, it was a big city to me, kind of from Slater and Fayetteville, so,
right.
But just, loved it out there. And, Dana and I got married a year after my rookie year. She was a flight attendant for a year, lived in Chicago, and I lived in Sacramento. And then we got married the summer after my rookie year.
All right.
Moved in, and we loved Sacramento. The team was awful, but, the city was amazing.
It has a nice Catholic name to it.
Yeah.
As does a lot of those towns out there.
Yeah.
So what did she do after you got married?
Well, she flew for a little while, a couple of years, and then when she became pregnant with Daniel, she phased out of that and just started raising our kids. And she didn't work anymore. She only raised kids. It's the funny. If you want to get in a fight, with a woman, say that.
Yeah.
Because the first thing they'll say to you is like, I tell you what, I'll go to work and you stay home with the kids. So
yeah, we all know that Dana had the most important job. You just paid the bills.
probably a lot tougher job than what I was doing. I can tell you that.
Well, I just wanted to, I don't normally make notes. I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything. There's a lot of levels here. So you mentioned earlier about it being a little bit of a challenge once you got into the NBA to go to mass regularly and stuff like that, just because of all the traveling and all that.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that hard of a challenge. I didn't do it.
All right.
I mean, I would like to have this great reason, but I mean, as we all know, it's not that hard to get up. I mean, Catholic, you can go Saturday night, Sunday,
that's right,
all morning Sunday. You can go Sunday night. I mean, they make it, very hard for you to miss mass.
That's
right. I can't say it was difficult. It wasn't a priority, unfortunately.
Right.
It was there, and we would go, but we didn't go regularly. We didn't, we were very prayerful and all that, but we didn't do what we needed to do.
Did you find the professional environment challenging as well, kind of like you did at U of A?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different world. It's a fantasy world. I mean, you're making all this money. And now they really make a lot of money. But I mean, and you're playing a game, and you've got this celebrity status, and so you can really lose your priorities,
Right. Yeah.
because you're in this world that's you know it's great, but it's not the real world. I mean,
Right.
you're very fortunate and lucky and grateful to be able to do it, but it's like when my kids are coming out of college and stuff like that, and I'm trying to give them advice. The first thing I would say is, you know, I was in a dream world. I didn't. I'm not dealing. I never dealt with what you're dealing with. Fortunately, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
But uh, you just and I think I was aware of that, which really helped me. Because I had great parents and I had great brothers, and so I had I was grounded would be a good word to say. I understood how lucky I was. I understood that it was not going to last forever, and so I was very fortunate with that.
Had you been a business major?
Yeah, I
Okay.
graduated with a degree in business. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So you understood too that like you can't play forever. So you gotta start doing some stuff to ensure that you're taken care of in the future and
Right.
all that.
Right. I mean, I got some really great advice from a lot of people early on. It was like, you'd sign these contracts, and you said you got every contract you sign, you got to think it's your last one.
Mm.
There's not another one coming, and
That's great
that was
advice.
great advice. It really helped you. You know,
Because then you can take some of that and invest it.
right,
And
right.
wow, very good. So I'd like to pause just for a second and us. Well, first of all, this episode is sponsored by Corky's Ribs and Barbecue. By the time this thing airs, it'll be after our gala that's on June 6th, and so we'll be having the food from your restaurant there
Yeah.
being catered, which we're excited about. So
Well, we're glad to help.
uh, you've been a big support to us. You've catered food at our very first gala back in 2023,
Yeah.
and you and Dana have been donors as well, and we just really appreciate that. So tell us about Corky's. You've got two
Yeah,
locations.
we got one on West Haven in West Little Rock, right across from Best Buy, and then one on McCain, right there by Olive Garden and Red Lobster. There's it's not 10, 20. There's a fitness. Used to be a
Mm,
movie theater there when we opened it, but now there's a fitness place there, right there in Lakewood Village. And
okay,
so,
North Little Rock.
yeah, we've been there been over here 30 years, and
Wow.
probably 23 years over there.
What is your favorite entree from there?
I love the dry ribs.
Oh yeah.
I never knew there was such a thing as dry ribs till we went to Corky's in Memphis when we were thinking about doing this with my partner Tommy, and they said, "Do you want your ribs wet or dry?" And I was, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And I had the dry ribs, and I don't think I've ever had wet ribs again.
Wow.
I mean, I love our wet ribs, but I just dry rub ribs is and ours. We cook them, smoke them, and so they come out.
Do you use a sauce?
I put a little sauce on it, but they're cooked with sauce and based with sauce, and then they
Okay.
put a dry rub on them. But yeah, I'll have sauce on the sides. I just don't like the messiness,
Yeah.
and I just the flavor to me. There's more flavor with dry rub than to
Yeah.
me. There's some people that think totally opposite, but I just think there's more flavor.
Well, man, a man that stands behind his product.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
yeah.
we eat a lot of it. We eat, and we have, I mean, and that's the thing. Yeah, I eat Corky's every day. We have a huge variety menu, but yeah, I love our product, all of it. I mean, we have really good people working for us who do a great job.
So if somebody had a big event or something like that and they wanted it catered, they just go on the website.
Call the store.
Okay.
Call one of the stores. You can go on the website, but I would always say call the store because we'll get you what you want.
Does it matter which store? Like if you're in North Little Rock, should you call the North Little Rock store?
I would, but I mean, we work together in unison. I mean, there's sometimes we do when they're they've come over here and helped us cater, and we do everything as one. So we will, you know, if it's in North Little Rock, we'll try to do out of North Little Rock just because it's easier. I mean, it's closer and easier. That has a lot to do with it a lot of times, but then sometimes it has to do with is this store busy or is that store busy? If they have 3 caterings going out that day and another one, and they don't have any in West Little Rock, we'll take one from them or do that, and just try to ease the burden to where we can do a quality job and not be running around rush. So that's the beauty of having 2 stores, is it kind of gives you some flexibility and helps you do it. But yeah, because we have like 4 or 5 things. Like if you go online, you'll see things basic ribs, and to kind of. But I mean, we cater our meals. We cater it. If you want this or that, or take this off or put this on. So when you talk to somebody, they can kind of walk you through that. You may not want this, but you want that. What's the
Right.
price difference? And we do all kinds of stuff. We do hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, salads. I mean, catfish. Do a lot of catfish catering and things like that. So it's just you know talking to somebody just helps you get exactly what you want and what you need, so that you don't get too much or too little. We want your value. We want you to have a great meal, but we're not trying to gouge you. And I
Yeah.
think that's what makes us different, is that, our prices and our price points, we fight like what to keep that down.
Right.
And and these days,
Hmm.
every day we're getting hit with this is going up, this is going up, this is going up, and we're in a constant battle with how can we keep our quality but keep the costs down for everybody so that people can afford it.
Right. Well, yeah, that sounds like quite a balancing act, but I'm sure that your customers appreciate that greatly. Um, yeah, and you were talking about the hamburgers and hot dogs. So like, summer's coming up,
Oh yeah.
4th of July. That just sounds like a
Oh, and the
perfect.
yeah, and we have chicken breasts.
Yeah.
We smoke chicken breasts, and then we'll put them on the grill to finish them.
Oh
But
yeah.
all kinds of chicken sandwiches that are that that our hamburger is off the chart, but I love me some barbecue chicken sandwich.
Oh,
Uh, Nice on a patty, and you know I like to think I'm eating healthy until I you know mayonnaise and this. It's like I get a nice. I love getting a grilled chicken salad, and I'm like, hold the croutons, no cheese, and then I get ranch dressing and dump it all over. It's kind of like, what are we doing?
yeah,
Just eat the croutons, man.
that's right. Well, there you have it, everybody. The Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, Little Rock, North Little Rock. Give them a visit. We really appreciate their support of our apostolate to bring the truth, beauty, and goodness of the Catholic faith to our audience. And we appreciate you and Dana for your support. So I guess back to our conversation. How did y'all wind up in Little Rock?
Corky's.
Okay.
Yeah, we started it in '96 when I was still playing with the Suns. Tommy Hilburn, came to me. He's Carla's husband who introduced Dana and I.
Okay.
And so Dana and Carla are best friends. And Tommy started Backyard Burgers here and did a really, really good job with it. And they got bought out from corporate. And so he wanted to try something else. And he had been worked for back then called Quality Foods, which is PFG now. Mr. Kirkpatrick, great guy. He went in the front in the office with them. He was their accountant and all this. So he had a great uh, feel for the running a smaller backyard burgers, but he had multiple units, so he about ordering food and doing that, and then he also knew the other side of the business from the distributor standpoint. So his knowledge of it was second to none, and his work ethic was second to none. So when he approached me about investing in Corky's with him, that was a no brainer. I
Mm.
mean, because I knew I had a guy in the battle that
Yeah.
was a worker,
You had a
and
winning recipe.
right, and so it didn't matter what restaurant it would have been. I knew that with his work ethic and his knowledge, it had a great chance to be successful. So it wasn't a leap of faith by any means from my standpoint. Now, when you talk to Tommy, a warrior, like all restaurant people are, this is not going to work. It's not going to make it. This month it'd be bad, and it's like we're going to have to close down, and then next month it'd be great. It's just that roller coaster, and but his work ethic and his attention to detail were unmatched, and so that's the reason why we've had the success we've had. And when I retired, I could have. I had a lot of opportunities I could have coached in the NBA. I could have got on with a bunch of teams. I had people inquire and ask me, uh, but probably the last 4 to 5 years of my career, I really hopped around. Was traded a couple times and then signed as a free agent a couple times. Was with different teams and different cities, and I had 3 young kids, and I wanted them with me. And so we started, we had a home in Phoenix that we kept for the summer, but, we would go live in Chicago for a year. We lived in Portland for a year. I lived in LA without them and New Jersey for like 5 months, and didn't get to see them. And I knew as a basketball coach, I knew I could do it. I knew I would be really good at it, but you're not going to be in one place.
Mm.
You're going to be doing that. And I wanted my kids to have a base, a good place to be like I did growing up.
Right.
And so we decided, and we were fortunate we had Corky's, and then the University of Arkansas asked me to do the radio color for the Razorback basketball team.
Okay.
Before I retired, they said, "Hey, when you get done, we hear you're going to retire. Would you like to do this?" And I was very lucky to be able to do that for almost 4 years, and then I had Corky, so I had something to do
Yeah.
and needless to say, I didn't realize that having a restaurant, you had a lot to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was, as much, I was like, oh, I got this cute little job. I'm going to go ahead. And it's like, yeah, welcome to the party, bub. And so I was, that's why we came back is that, we had something invested here, something with the Razorbacks. We had friends here. And so we wanted to give it a try, and so glad we did. We've been here 26 years.
That's great. The Holy Spirit may have been playing a part in all that because, yeah, you had a lot of really outstanding opportunities, but it sounded like you made the right call. You sacrificed for your family in some regards, but and able to give your kids the foundation that they needed and everything, which is admirable. So kudos on that.
Well, it was, like I said, we were, you don't know, you're kind of taking whatever you do when you're kind of changing and going into a different part, you got to kind of take a leap of faith.
Mhm.
But I mean, what we realized is it was so funny when Dana came to Sacramento. The first month we were there, she'd be crying and saying how she hated it and she didn't know anybody. And then when I got traded or we moved and we're moving, she's crying because we're leaving. And then we got to Boston, and I don't like it here. I got, assigned a free agent going crying when we're leaving. You know,
Yeah.
and Phoenix probably
That's
Phoenix,
tough.
you know, but you know, it's just but what you realize when you're going through it is like if you're with your family, with people you love, and you're a strong family, it doesn't matter where you live, you're going to be happy.
Right.
And that kind of was, you know, you you mature and you figure that out, so that moving to Little Rock was yeah, something different, but it's like, hey, we're all together, we're gonna make it work, you know, and you know, you make it work.
Where was she? Where did she grow up?
Dallas,
Okay.
Dallas, she North Dallas, yeah.
All right. Well, so, but you've gotten into coaching, and you've also helped out with like Catholic High, Mount St. Mary's. So tell us kind of how you got involved in some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I went from the in 2000. I went from losing in the Western Conference Finals of the NBA to Kobe Bryant and Shaq in June to that next October coaching Christ the King sixth grade basketball.
The pinnacle.
Yeah, little. Then I had to learn to pull it back a little bit. It wasn't, this was I went from kill or be killed. The most important thing in the world is like we want to make sure everybody plays and has fun.
That's
And
right.
so I had a little bit of an adjustment to make there. It's kind of like, you know, I'd come back after some games with Christ the King, my wife would be looking at me and go, "What are you yelling about? You know, why are you yelling at the officials? It's sixth grade basketball." It's like, well, he missed a call. It's just like you hear yourself saying these things now, and you go, "What an idiot!" You know? But and then, you know, through that, just kids. I got to be friends with the Ezas at Catholic. What a terrific family. Tim and Todd are great coaches. So grateful that my boys got to play ball over there. And same thing with Mount. They had great coaches and things, and just the whole wanting to help them, and then doing stuff with them. And then I was fortunate enough to become good friends with the people at Little Rock, Chris Peterson, the athletic director, and Steve Shields, the head coach. And they asked me if I would go and help them. And so I coached there for about 8 years and loved it. It just was a great experience. But yeah, just helping out at Catholic with Daniel's teams and being with the Ezis and that whole Steve Stracely and the whole how they do it. And I was, you know, because of my boys, I was more and they were more into sports than my older daughter wasn't really a sports person, so I didn't dive into Mount as much. Mallory did, and I got to dive into that a little bit more. But at Catholic, I was probably more involved. You know, they asked me to be more involved, and so I was grateful that they asked me, and was grateful that I could help a little bit, and I really enjoyed it.
Very good. Yeah, that's a great way to, you know, take your talents and kind of give back to the church too.
Yeah,
If you ever looked at it that way, I would. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know that I looked at it that way, but I'm proud to be Catholic. I'm
yeah,
proud that they have a Catholic school for boys and girls. I'm proud of how they run those schools with discipline and, you know, God first. And, you know, people would always ask me, you know, they would assume that you were going to a private school to avoid something or, you know, not be a part of this or that. And my answer to that always was, I want to go somewhere where God is mentioned and God is relevant, and you don't get that in the public schools. It's a taboo.
That's right.
And it's the most important thing we got going for us in our life, and we don't want to talk about it. And uh, hence the problems we have with public school, I believe, can be pointed to that a lot. But that's for another. That's you. We could have a 3-hour show on that one. We don't have enough time to get into that, but that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
We wanted discipline. we wanted structure, but most importantly, we wanted God to be prevalent.
Amen.
And we were so glad we did. And those two schools, and Christ the King and Holy Souls and all the feeder schools to that, they provide that. And I can't think of a better gift to give a kid growing up than that kind of structure.
Yeah. Amen to that. That's wonderful. My wife, she played at Mount, and so there may have been some overlap there. She graduated in 05. So, but yeah. So, and you mentioned UALR. You that's where you mentioned that you had been for 8 years.
I was there from 08 to 15.
Okay.
2015, I believe, or yeah, it was 08, I believe, 08, 8 years. Yeah, with Steve Shields and Coach Peterson was the AD. And yeah, it was challenging and hard. But again, I got to coach basketball and stay in Little Rock, which is most important to me.
Excellent. So you said it was about 2000 then when y'all got involved here at Cross the King.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. You said that Monsignor Hebert was here, and
Yep.
that's kind of that kind of is when the spark happened, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we again, we never were, and again, it's a lame excuse, but it's what it was. We weren't part of a school. We weren't part of a parish. We'd be summer in Phoenix, winter in Portland, or whatever, during the season in Portland, Chicago, and whatever. And again, you know, it's a lame excuse, but it just, when we got here, you start seeing the same priests. You see them at school. You have personal relationships with people in the school. You get involved in fundraisers and all these things, and you're meeting people and being around people, and you're seeing people in church, and going to coffee and donuts after church, and your kids are friends with, and and then you have an unbelievable priest in Monsignor Hebert, and then when he leaves, you follow it up with Francis Malone, who's incredible, and just an incredible human being. And just so you have these two dynamic, great people that you're listening to all the time. And, if you're listening at all, you can't help but make you a better Christian and stronger in your faith. And we're so grateful for that, for Christ the King, the Catholic community of Little Rock in general, but also those two priests, because they were just, I remember the day when Monsignor Hebert said he was leaving, we're going to retire, and I looked over at my wife, and she's bawling. She's sitting there bawling. Then the same thing with when Monsignor became bishop and was going to Shreveport. Like we felt like a family member was leaving.
Wow.
So, that was, to their credit, that's how they made you feel. And, that's why the parish was such a strong parish.
Wow. Well, that's excellent. Yeah. And sounds like, Monsignor was such a instrumental part of your wife's conversion. I guess he was involved pretty heavily in RCIA and all that.
Yeah.
Which is a tremendous blessing. I had the good fortune of going through a similar situation when I came into the church, where the head pastor of, this was at Immaculate Conception in North Little Rock. Yeah. He basically did the entire program himself. And a lot of churches don't have that luxury. They have to get volunteers and then there's a lot of, overlapping topics. It's just not laid out quite as succinctly and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it sounds like she had a really good program that she got to go through and everything.
She did. She it was a great journey for her.
Yeah.
Great. And like I said, she came out of it. Heck, she knew more about it. I've been Catholic for 40 years, and she came out there and she would be telling me stuff that I should and shouldn't be doing. I was like, who are you to be telling me what to do? But she was spot on.
Yeah.
It helped me become a better Catholic too.
That's great. Yeah. Plus raising your kids in the schools and all that, I'm sure.
Well, you get reinforcement.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You're not hammering Christian values at home, and then they go to school and it's like, we can't talk about God. We're not going to do that. We're not going to say this is right or this is wrong. We're going to be politically correct. And then you come home and you got to reinforce what this is and what that is. And then you become friends with families that are having this, raising their kids. But when you send them to school, it's not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
The things you're trying to hammer at home are hammered at school. And, as we all were young once, when you're young, there needs to be a lot of hammering because you don't get it until you get it.
Right. Right. Well, very good. We've got just about 5 or 6 minutes left. So, I kind of wanted to get into your sports career a little bit, for anybody who, maybe a younger generation that don't know that much about you. So, like my kids.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I see them all the time. You know who this is? And the kids are looking at it like, no, he's a big dude, but we don't know who he is.
Well, tell us about February the 12th of 1984 in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Yeah, that was a good day. Happy Valentine's Day. Charles Valentine, God rest his soul. Yeah, we had a great team. It was my junior year. We had Alvin Robertson, who played on the Olympic team with me and played a great career in the NBA, and played North Carolina with Michael, Sam Perkins, Brad Doherty, Matt Doherty, Kenny Smith. They had I think 7 NBA first round picks on that team, and we had 2. So there were 9 guys on the floor that day that were first round picks, and they were undefeated. I think we had 1 or 2 losses. They were 1, we were 5, I think. But the great thing about that story is that it was on a Sunday, national TV. But we played at A&M on Thursday, and then we played at SMU, Dallas, on Saturday afternoon. We were going to fly after those games that night to Little Rock, spend the night in Little Rock, and then play North Carolina the next day. And we were in a race with Houston, who was undefeated in the conference, and we had 1 loss. So in reality, the 2 games before North Carolina were by far more important. We didn't spend any time talking about North Carolina, which probably was a good thing because you'd have got overwhelmed when you started looking at them in depth. But yeah, we beat A&M on a buzzer shot, flew to Dallas and destroyed SMU that afternoon, played a great game. And then we were going to get on a plane, but there were tornadoes in Arkansas. So Coach Sutton said, we're going back to the hotel. And we spent the night in Dallas. And we got up early the next morning. We were staying at the Anatole Hotel. We watched 30 minutes of film on North Carolina the night before. And then went to bed, got up that morning. We got dressed in our uniforms and taped by our trainer in the Dallas hotel, and got on the plane, flew to Pine Bluff, landed, got on the bus, drove to the convention center, threw our bags in the locker room, and went into warm-ups and beat the number 1 undefeated team in the country on a great.
Oh my goodness!
And I just saw, when I tell people about that game, that it felt like the last 2 minutes of a tight game, the whole game. Every time you scored, you're like, we scored. Every time you stopped them, we stopped them. And it was like that for 40 minutes. It was just a great, great back and forth game that we were fortunate enough to win.
And then that same year, you played in the Olympics.
The next summer. That summer, I got picked for the Olympic team, yeah.
And you won gold.
Yeah, in Los Angeles, Coach Bobby Knight was our coach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was was a good year.
Then you got drafted. Then in 98, you won a championship
Yep.
with the Bulls.
Yep.
So that was with Michael
Yep.
Jordan, Scottie Pippen. So here you had beat Michael Jordan back in 84. Did he have any hard feelings for you when you showed up to play?
No, I mean, I knew Michael.
I know that there
before
had
the
to be
game.
at
And
least
yeah.
some healthy trash talk, right?
No. I mean, he would start saying something to me, and I would always look up at him, and I'd go 1-0.
1-0.
And he knew. Everybody else was kind of like, "What does that mean?" And it was, you say all you want.
Inside joke, yeah.
1-0, baby.
That's wonderful.
He was always good about it, but he was so competitive that was the best thing about that was that it bothered him. So, it's like having a little brother, if you know that you do this thing to him that it'll really, make him mad, you're going to keep doing it. So,
like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Yeah. So I heard that you asked Coach Calipari one time if he believed in free speech.
He said, yeah. I said, that's great. You're coming to Catholic High and you're giving a free speech for their fundraiser. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, but what a guy.
Yeah.
What a human being that guy is. I mean, I played for him when he was the head coach of the New Jersey Nets. I got traded there towards the end of my career. Played for him, liked him then. He was like anybody, younger, more high-strung, trying to build his career and all that. But, coming back here and, getting to know him even more, not more as a friend as opposed to on a professional basis where he's your head coach and, and to realize what a strong and faithful Catholic he is and, the things he does that nobody knows about is amazing. And how he wears his faith on his sleeve is such an awesome example. He's not afraid to talk about God and Catholicism and his faith, and he backs it up. I've asked him to. I get people asking me to do a lot of stuff for him, for the Catholic Church, and very rarely does he, now that doesn't mean anybody out there calling me. I'm not his agent, so I can't. But if he can help the church, he helps the church, and just so glad he's our coach. I mean, I can't tell you. I'm really glad he's our coach.
Well, if he's ever back down in this neck of the woods and you think that he might do an interview like this, let him know. Let him know about us. I mean,
the great thing about Cal is you'd only have to ask one question and he'd talk for an hour.
Okay. Even better. Even better. Oh, wow. So, well, I really appreciate your story and you taking the time to be with us today. And sorry to surprise you with the cameras and lights and stuff.
Yeah, my wife's going to kill me for how I dress. I didn't know this was going to be on video, but hey, this is who I am, man.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, God bless you. God bless Dana, all your family.
Same to you guys.
Thank you.
Good luck with your venture. I hope, it keeps gaining steam. I think we can't have enough space out there where, people are talking about the right things, because we certainly know we got enough to where they're talking and showing the wrong things. And so the more we can get any kind of message out there, have any kind of platform where people can have an alternative and hear some really good stuff, it can only help.
Yeah, I appreciate those words and your support. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well,
good luck with everything, man.
Thank you.
Glad it's you and not me.
I may have to fall back on getting into a restaurant business, a cushy restaurant job,
Yeah, those are really good. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. All right.